Good morning, everyone. Now it's time to talk about innovation, disruption in the airline industry. Today with me, I have two great panels to talk about this thematic. Nuno Leal, Senior Advisor from Aviation. Good morning, Nuno. And Tim Sass, it's a business manager for Lufthansa Industry Solutions. Yeah, take your seat, please.
Thank you.
So, we start with the same question to both of you regarding technological innovation. What are your organizations doing on this field? Please, Nuno.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Many thanks, Gonçalo, for the introduction. So, Worldstar Aviation, being an aircraft lessor, is, in simple terms, a manager of assets, in this case, aircraft and engines. It's a manager of investments and investors and the relationship with these, and a manager of relationships with airlines and operators through the leasing agreements that the company has. In terms of the relationships between investors and airlines, we are currently working on developing a platform that fully mimics or follows the trend of reducing our carbon footprint. And basically what we have in mind is making use of the fact that investors are more and more keen in bringing the ability to have reduced financing costs to airlines that can be more efficient, and aircraft types that are more efficient and less harmful to the environment. So right now we are working on developing this platform that will allow not only airlines and operators to benefit from lower financing costs and ensure that they can use these benefits to fuel additional activities or procedures or investments into reducing the carbon footprint. On the asset management side, the greatest challenge for an aircraft lessor or an owner or an asset manager is to ensure that the asset doesn't lose value and doesn't lose marketability. And in this case, it is super important to, because we're talking about an aircraft with lots of components, it is important to keep data and documentation of the aircraft fully and readily available, being reliable, and having that data that justifies why the aircraft is valued X or Y. So there's a lot of IT developments going on, and I would say if there is something that is going to be a breakthrough in this effort is the blockchain technology.
Great. Tim, the same question to you. What is Lufthansa Industry Systems doing to promote the technological improvements in this industry?
Yeah, I mean, so simply put, we're always driving digitalization in all kinds of industries. So from our perspective, we're starting with business consultancy and going all the way to actually implementing IT solutions to support all surrounding processes, whether it's aviation, whether it can be automotive, it can be basically every industry you can think of, because we're not only working for aviation customers, we're actually putting together our knowledge from different industries, because they can usually support each other. Like some problems that, for example, aviation is having right now, automotive was facing a couple of years ago, and we're simply trying to bring all of that together, and starting with stuff like data strategy, consultant stuff, and going all the way to implementing IT solutions with production, enterprise-ready scale of either simple operational systems up to AI solutions we're building right now, which can support, for example, predictive maintenance processes, which can support customer interaction by classifying comments customers make, and all sorts of stuff. So we're simply trying to drive the change in terms of AI solutions and in terms of helping our customers thrive with whatever problem they might be facing.
Great. I would like to pick a thematic about artificial intelligence with you. In your opinion, what AI can do for the airlines?
Yeah, so I was just scratching like the first 1 or 2 points there. So I think there's more or less endless possibilities, to be honest. We haven't even tried everything out that AI might be able to do in the upcoming years. You can start, especially with a huge impact on aviation, with predictive maintenance. It can save so many resources by simply predicting when some specific component, like an engine, might fail or might not fail. You can find whole new ways of escaping standard maintenance processes by simply knowing, is that component still okay, or does it need an overhaul, or can I maybe fix a possible upcoming problem much easier than what I would do today by sending it to the manufacturer, having it completely checked, because they maybe don't even know what's wrong with it, and that can make a huge impact. But also on the customer-facing side, it's just having a chatbot ready, for example, for customer interaction, being able to automatically classify the incoming comments via email, via some contact formula on your web page, and it can simply redirect those requests to whomever it may concern in your company, just making that customer interaction much faster and much more precise to react to what the customer actually needs.
Perfect. So if I'm an airline and I want to have AI service working for me, what is the first step they have to do internally to be ready to accept this technology?
Yeah, so it's a really good question, because a lot of companies think, like, I don't know, they simply want to do AI. They haven't done anything like that before. They just think, AI, it sounds cool, we want to do that. But the first thing you really have to do is have a good data strategy. You have to know what data do you have, what data maybe you do not have, and where is it stored. That is always the first step. And then you have to be able to bring all that data together, because usually one data source isn't quite enough to actually answer all your business questions and to actually help with your processes overall. You have to be able to move that data to one place, to transform it in the way that you can use it. And then you can start with like simple processes, like small analytical steps, going for quick wins. Is relatively important, and involving your business early, because if they do not know what's happening, they might not accept what you're actually doing there. That is a huge factor. If you're simply deciding from inside your IT department, for example, we want to do AI in this and that area of our company, and you just do that stuff, bring it into the business, and the people were not involved at all, they might be saying yeah, why should I trust this machine? I'm doing my job for whatever 20 years now. I know what I'm doing. Why should this machine be more intelligent at that than I am? So involve them early and let them know what you're doing. Also, react to their concerns and bring that into consideration in the whole process. And then when you did that, you got your data, you got your business on your side, then you can start with like the first small things. And always keep in mind, it's like a help in your processes. It's going to help your people. It's not going to replace them.
Perfect, thank you. Nuno, I would like to change with you with a thematic about blockchain. In your opinion, how can blockchain technology help transforming the aviation industry, particularly within the lesser community?
Certainly, it can be a step change, in our opinion. As I said before, for an aircraft lessor, it is super important to have data and documentation associated with the aircraft or the asset that you're managing and ensure that that data is reliable, is integer, and can be traceable back to birth. As Tim was saying, airlines produce tons of data, tons of documentation, most of them in paper format. And this relationship between the airlines and the lessors, the asset managers, can be significantly simplified if we go to blockchain technology going forward. The blockchain technology is much better known from the cryptocurrency world. And basically, for the ones that don't know, basically protects and ensures integrity and traceability of a certain data or document from the moment that is created through the lifetime of that document. Why is it so important for an asset manager? Because the value of an asset that we manage is almost entirely dependent on our capability to justify what happened during the life cycle of a certain aircraft or a certain component inside that aircraft. And if you think that an aircraft is an assembly of hundreds or thousands of components, that each one of them have an intrinsic value that needs to be protected over time, and that value altogether means that the aircraft value is this or that, it is super relevant to ensure that over time that documentation and data that is produced is integer and is reliable going forward. And why is this so important on our daily lives? Because we are on a constant interaction with airlines, doing aircraft assessments, maintenance status assessments, in order to see how the value of an asset progresses over time and what is the risk of, in case of a repossession, what is the risk of having data or documentation missing. So it's an iterative process, an interactive process with the airlines, and if we can have a system that is much more automatic and reliable, it will for sure reduce the workload associated with this kind of events, plus with the big advantage being that the documentation that is being generated by the airline is reliable and traceable over time, as I've mentioned to you before.
Okay, so besides using it for tracking aircraft maintenance, in what other applications we can expect to have the blockchain technology working in the airline industry?
Yeah. From a lessor's perspective, this goes well beyond the aircraft maintenance standpoint or aircraft documentation standpoint. A relationship between an aircraft lessor and an airline is mostly on a daily basis, with invoicing, with reporting data, operational data, with a bit what Tim was saying, to work together to predict what's going to happen in a certain period to see if that triggers an event, because an engine is a very valuable component of an aircraft, representing 30% or more of the value of the aircraft itself. So if we look at predictive maintenance and try to identify when an event is coming, if we can work together with the airline in a better way, for sure that's going to have a big effect. And outside of the leasing world, for airlines, I think there's a lot of benefit in applications such as airline ticketing, the communication between the different entities that are involved in the airline ticketing and boarding passes and so on and so forth. Hotel bookings, travel documentation that the customer needs to have with it. Plenty of applications, because it is a technology that ensures that the data is valid, reliable, and integer over time, which is more and more important in today's world.
Great. Unfortunately, we are running out of time. I have a very final question to you. The same question, again, as we have started. In your opinion, what do you feel that can be the next big technological disruption? And how do you see the sector in the next 10 years? We can start with Tim.
Yeah, sure. So I'm looking at it from a very technical IT perspective. And if we take a look at what is currently in the development right there and what has the chance to really be a breaking change and break boundaries of what is possible, I would definitely say it's quantum computing, because it can change the way you think about an IT problem. What is currently more or less impossible to calculate computationally or just takes incredibly long might be a matter of seconds or milliseconds in a couple of years if everything goes all right. So that can give you whole new chances also for AI applications, but also for the blockchain technology, for example. So that stuff really has the chance to disrupt IT overall, and therefore bring a lot new chances for AI. Also, of course, in the aviation industry, because if you think about, for example, flight path optimization, path optimization algorithms are incredibly difficult to calculate. With quantum computing, it might not be a problem anymore, and you have a whole new chance to actually optimize flight paths and stuff like that. And thinking especially about aviation industry in 10 years, it will be far, far, far after COVID-19. We're already on a really, really good way of recovery. And I think in 10 years, it's going to thrive with also new technologies for the engines, like hydrogen-powered engines and stuff like that. So I think it's not only coming back to pre-COVID levels, but even far above that.
Great. And you, Nuno, same question.
Following on Tim's comment about electrical vehicles and hydrogen applications, I think in aviation will see a similar path to what is currently happening in the automotive industry. So first, an electrical application and daily use of the electrical vehicles, and with the second stage of developing an hydrogen-based solution going forward for aviation, especially for the longest sectors. I see a lot of application for electrical vehicles in the cargo distribution or small vehicles in big cities. And that is going to be a very helpful tool for initial development of what is going to come next for a much broader utilization on the civil aviation world. There's a second big transformation that I think is going to come, and also benefiting from the existing initiative that is ongoing on the automotive world, which is automation, self-driving, in this case, self-flying. And the communication between aircraft to aircraft and aircraft to ground being automatic and independent. This is going to create, because we are living on a sector that is constantly growing, and this is going to create the ability to have more aircraft into the system, being able to fly more people around, to carry more goods around, together with that, because the system is much more automatic, it can be more efficient than what it is today, and that will certainly trigger benefits, or big benefits, in terms of reducing fuel burn and reducing the overall carbon emissions. Where do I see the industry in 10 years? In aviation, it's hard to predict, as we all know. Typically, we get it wrong. But one thing for me is clear: aviation is going to continue to grow at the same path or more than what we've seen in the recent years. Of course, COVID was a halt for a while, but the industry is recovering strong, and it's going to continue to grow. The challenge here is continue to grow, because we as human beings need aviation, because it's already part of our lives in everything that we do today. But we need to grow in a more sustainable way, and we need to continue to invest, as we spoke yesterday, in reducing the carbon footprint and reaching the net zero target goals that we've set out for 2050.
Perfect. So we have covered artificial intelligence, quantum computing, blockchain, environmental sustainability, autonomous aircraft, a lot of thematics. I'm quite sure that the industry will continue innovating in the next years. Thank you very much for this interesting discussion. For all of you here present and also at home live stream, thank you for being with us. Good day.
Thank you. Thanks.